Welcome, everybody. My name is Mark Scheinberg. I'm president of Goodwin University, and I'm thrilled to have you all here. This is a auspicious time for us at Goodwin University. I am, on behalf of the entire Goodwin community, I'm happy to be the first to welcome you to the campus. It's wonderful for us as well to have some old friends here in Congressman John Larson, Mayor Luke Bronin, and Governor Lamont. But we also are lucky to have a new friend coming to visit us for the first time. I take very special pride in welcoming Speaker Pelosi on her first visit here, which I hope is the first of many more to come. And we're really honored to have you here, Madam Speaker. We're also proud, in particular, because 80% of our students are young women who are single moms working hard to further their education and benefit both themselves and their families. And so it becomes a special point of pride to have the speaker here today. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Congressman John Larson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And what an honor to be here in East Hartford at Goodwin University. Madam Speaker, it's always an honor to be in your presence, but particularly always an honor to have you back here in Connecticut in our district. And especially grateful to be here today with our governor and the hardest working mayor in the state of Connecticut, Luke Bronin, as well as a special guest who is going to talk about the significance of the American Rescue Plan and specifically the child tax credit. And so I would be remiss, Madam Speaker, if I also didn't give credit to Bridgeport President Danielle Wilkin, who is, along with Mark Scheinberg and Jim Himes, Mayor Ganim, and the governor of the state of Connecticut, earlier this year made sure that Bridgeport University would remain active and committed to the same kind of vitality that Mark Scheinberg has done everywhere that he's gone, but specifically here in East Hartford with Goodwin University. Madam Speaker, Mark Scheinberg also made sure as a gesture, and I know the governor's aware of this, that during the crisis in Afghanistan and the aftermath, he immediately stepped forward and sent a letter on to the president and the State Department saying that they would take in 200 refugees during this crisis. And that's more than commendable. And I want to thank him for that. We also are going to hear from Carmen Rodriguez today. And Madam Speaker, it's not often that we get to have a mayor that's also a Rhodes Scholar that, as you noted, has served in the Obama administration, has served with in the gubernatorial administration of Dan Malloy, and as I said earlier, is the hardest working mayor in the state of Connecticut. His enlightened and visionary leadership, his hands-on manner, of which he has embraced the aid here from the American Rescue Plan, and his understanding of its impact on people makes him uniquely qualified to serve in this area, and also the person that we're calling upon to introduce our special guest, Mayor Bronin.
Thank you so much, Congressman Larson. We are so lucky in the city of Hartford and the Hartford region to have the best congressman we could ask for. Madam Speaker, I know you've got a lot of incredible members of your caucus. We think we've got the best right here. He fights every single day for his communities, for our cities. He doesn't wait to be called. He picks up the phone and calls us and asks what would make a difference. And what you've done, Madam Speaker, down in Washington has made all the difference in the world for our city and for city after city around this country as we work to recover from this pandemic, to help kids recover and heal and reconnect. The American Rescue Plan dollars actually make it possible for us to build back better. And those resources are allowing us to make investments in public safety, in kids, in helping our small businesses come back. in building a stronger and fairer foundation for the future. But today, it's particularly important to thank you, your caucus, Congressman Larson, our entire federal delegation for their leadership in passing the child tax credit. Because the child tax credit will lift tens of thousands of kids in the greater Hartford area alone out of poverty. In our city, in our small city in Hartford, 28,000 kids under the age of 18 eligible for that tax credit, which is a game changer for those kids and for their families. We cannot thank you enough for what that has done and what it will do for families and for communities. And I also just want to say that it makes all the difference in the world when you've got federal and state and local working side by side together. A governor who took the opportunity to expand Connecticut's own earned income tax credit to build on what was being done at the federal level, who's worked side by side to make sure those resources got out there quickly. A Biden administration that heard that it was a little difficult to sign folks up for the tax credit if they weren't already signed up, and they immediately responded and made it easier. That kind of partnership is what our communities need. And so it's an incredible honor to be able to join everybody here to say thank you, Madam Speaker, Congressman, for what you have done. And also, most importantly, to get to introduce somebody who truly speaks for our community and for countless other communities. Carmen Rodriguez is a grandma of 9 grandkids. She picks them up after school. She takes care of them. And the child tax credit has made it possible for her and for the mothers of her grandkids to get them the school supplies they need, to make sure they don't have to choose between food and medicine or school supplies. Carmen, you have shown so much courage in your work with Mothers United Against Violence, in your work strengthening our community every day, but it's an incredible honor to have the chance to turn this over so that not just Connecticut, but our country can hear from you today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a member of the United Against Violence. They are important members of our community since 2003. And I'm here because I want to thank the Congressman and everyone for the rescue plan, the American Rescue Plan. The child credit was gratefully needed. These kids' education is a year behind or more. These kids were falling behind, and with this money, we could educate our kids and catch them up to the times. I lost my son over almost a year and a half ago, and I'm raising his kids on top of my other grandkids. And without a father, now this money is stepping up and helping with the kids' education and keeping them focused and on the right track so that they won't fall through the cracks and being a part of our systems. Also, I'm very grateful for this plan as well, because our kids deserve better. Like, just because we're a small city doesn't mean that our kids don't deserve the higher and a better education like they deserve. Like, they shouldn't be fall through the cracks. No child should be left behind. Everyone's coming together as communities, leaders, parents, everyone, and this is greatly appreciated because we really need it. We need our kids to have an education. We have so many older doctors and older nurses, and everyone's older, that these kids in this generation are gonna have to step up. So we need all the support we can get. And thanks everyone for coming and supporting and showing your affection for these kids that need the people to step up for them. Strangers, family, everyone, step up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmen. You can tell an awful lot about a leader and how they conduct themselves, but it's especially revealing in the midst of a crisis. The way that Governor Ned Lamont has handled the COVID crisis is exemplary. He's a leader nationally. What he's done here in the state of Connecticut, and as Mayor Bronin pointed out, working hand in glove with President Biden, the General Assembly, governors all across the state, we couldn't have a more committed leader. Our own Rosa DeLauro, as all of you know, is the author of the child tax credit, something she worked on for more than 18 years. And our work's not done. We're going to make that permanent, and we're going to continue to work alongside Governor Lamont to make sure that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, the governor of the state of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Hey, John, thank you. Right back at you in the best congressional delegation in the country. And, Madam Speaker, you were here 6 weeks ago. I'm glad you're paying special attention to Connecticut. We love it. We appreciate it. And let me just build on what Carmen said. You know, Mark and I are all about kids, opportunity, and jobs. And that's what the support we're getting from the federal government is all about. I'm really proud that, you know, Connecticut has a higher percentage of our workforce are women than just about any state in the country. That's because we're one of the most family-friendly states in the country. But right now, Madam Speaker, we have more women collecting unemployment than men. We got to continue to do a better job making it easier for everybody to get back to work and women to get back to work. And you're making that possible for us with your incredible investments. It started with pre- and postnatal care to make sure every kid and every young mom gets the very best opportunity to start. The biggest expansion of daycare and childcare in the history of the state, thanks to your incredible good work. And if we get the universal pre-K going in the next round, that makes a difference. It makes a difference in terms of giving every kid the very best opportunity and allowing that parent, allowing that mom to get back to work going forward. And thanks to you, we're doing everything we can to make sure that work pays. And that's how we get people back to work. You know, one of the first states to get the $15 minimum wage. A big expansion, $15 minimum wage. And wages are going up. People deserve a raise. A big increase in the state share of the earned income tax credit so people can keep more of what they earn. That's what we're trying to do every day. And Mark Scheinberg and our amazing community colleges are providing free learning certificates for all the trades so people want to step up, get a new job, they get a better job. That's what the Speaker's done. That's what John Larson is doing. I think Luke Broden knows better than anybody what a difference it's making here in the city of Hartford. I'm so proud to be with you today. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Well, thank you, Governor. And it's always a deep honor to have the Speaker of the House in your hometown. Most of you don't get to experience the Speaker the way members do. Maria Ciotto is in the audience today. All of you here know Billy Ciotto. What you probably don't know is that Billy Ciotto, when he first met Nancy Pelosi, said, "Madam Speaker, I want you to know that I have daughters, and we are so proud that you are the first woman speaker in the country. But I'm mostly proud that you are the first Italian speaker in the country." Billy, as you know, passed away this year. And 1 month to the day later, his beloved wife, Jeannie, passed away. During that time, the Speaker of the House, while she was dealing in the aftermath of January 6th, while she was putting together the American Rescue Plan and doing what people said couldn't be done, while we're dealing with a major pandemic, she picked up the phone and talked to her beloved Billy and his wife, Jean. You don't get to see that. We do as members. I watch her on the floor and watch her how she knows her caucus. You all know she knows the issues. You all know, if you read John Boehner's book, about her steel spine and her leadership. You all know that she knows how to count, but it's this exceptional compassion, this notion of being operational. While the Senate, working very hard and having daily conferences back and forth and press conferences at the White House, Nancy Pelosi passed over 200 bills in the House of Representatives. I'm talking this year. And they sit there, and it's why she will go down in history as one of the most consequential speakers in United States history, rivaling Henry Clay, Sam Rayburn, Tip O'Neill. And when I say that, it's not without example. I could cite piece of legislation after legislation, but Rod Yargood, a West Hartford father, talked about what she did for him and standing up and saying, you know, the Affordable Care Act was so vital to me. And then all of a sudden, the Republicans tried to strip that away. But under the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, we brought it back. And his premium went from $1,400 to under $100. And he said, you know what I'm going to do with that money? I'm going to be able to put my two daughters through college. This is what the Speaker of the House means. This is what she does. This is why she's the most extraordinary leader I've had the opportunity to serve with. Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of the House.
I think that introduction may be longer than my remarks, but I can't promise because, you know, when a politician says, I'll be brief, that's a very dangerous phrase. But I will strive to be succinct. It is an honor to be here at Goodwin College, Mr. President. Thank you for your extraordinary work, your great leadership, enabling people to be prepared to go into the workforce so they can take care of their families and reach their personal aspirations is probably the most important work that any of us has to do. Thank you for making Goodwin College an example, to a model for the country of how to train people for a job, to do so in a way that recognizes their family needs and their ability to balance it all. I'm honored to be here. I can't wait to come back again. And we've learned a lot from him just on this visit today. But don't worry, John Larson sings your praises regularly, and as you know, he can be generous with his remarks. So, in any event, what an honor it is to be at this school, this college. What an honor it is to be here with the governor of the state, a governor who has not only used the resources well that are out there from the federal government, he has also been an example of how we should prioritize what we're doing at the federal level so that it really works when it comes back to a state. And Governor, thank you for your leadership in so many ways, the minimum wage, earned income tax credit, you named so many things about the children, and you've been a great governor for the children. I think that's the best compliment of all. And Mayor Bronin, thank you for your leadership as well, taking your experience as one who worked in the Obama administration with Governor Malloy at the state level as a veteran of Afghanistan, so many ways, bringing all of that experience to bear as the mayor. So thank you so much for your leadership and also your, again, example. Now, Mr. Mayor, I want you to know something about John Larson. When we were writing these bills, Governor, you'll know what I'm saying, no offense, the governors wanted all the money. Not Governor Lamont, he understood. But we decided that we would have some of it go to the state and some of it go to the cities, municipalities, and counties, so that in this state, you have no problem. Your governor shares your values, but other places, the money might not have gone to the states and localities and the counties. John Larson was a leader in making sure that happened in the legislation. So you've got your direct funding as well as the generosity of the state in all of this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So John Larson, he is a leader in the Congress. He's part of the delegation. A senior member, Rosa DeLauro, as was mentioned, the godmother of the child tax credit, the equal pay for equal work, almost anything you can name. Joe Courtney, we call him Two Submarine Joe, without going into it. Jim Himes, a leader in so many ways, leading up our initiative to study and correct the economic disparity in our country. Johanna Hayes, just the teacher of the year. She brings so much to the delegation, and of course, John Larson. He came at the turn of the century, the 2000th century. Came at 1999, and he has been a leader for the children, for their parents in the workforce, for their grandparents on Social Security. Nobody has done more. So I thank all of you for bringing him. He is an intellectual resource, an advocate of relentlessness and relentless, dissatisfied, always urging us to do more for the children. So thank you, John Larson, and thank you for your kind words. But they all will agree, the governor, the mayor, the congressperson, Mr. President of the university, of the college, that our VIP today is Carmen Rodriguez. Carmen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Her words, the truth that she spoke about what this means in the lives of people, is really the most eloquent statement of what we're trying to do. Let me just place this in time for a moment. When he became president, President Biden said, help is on the way. When he began his Build Back Better initiative, he wanted to do so in a bipartisan way. He said to the Republicans, and I was there when he said it, and he said it again and again, I want to find our common ground. If we can only find it on infrastructure, building the infrastructure, then let's do that. But I will not confine my vision to what we can do in a bipartisan way on infrastructure, because my vision is to build back better. And that means involving many more people in the economic prosperity and success of our country. So the Build Back Better initiative not only addresses some of our infrastructure needs, whether it comes to climate change, to save the planet, to fill in, shall we say, places that the infrastructure bill did not address. When I thank the president for his leadership in that regard and keep insisting that we protect the planet for the children, he says, you don't have to tell me. I'm the first person in Congress to ever introduce climate crisis legislation decades ago. So that is something that we're working on in the reconciliation project. And we're here to talk about the child tax credit. But what you should know about the child tax credit, Carmen told us more eloquently than any of us can state. But what I want you to know, it's a part of so much more. For women in the workplace. So I say build back better for the women. For the women, we have the child tax credit. We also have paid family and medical leave, something John Larson has been working on since the days, even before he came to Congress. We have universal pre-K, which was referenced earlier as something that is there for the children. Children learning, parents earning. Everybody benefits from that. And then we have home health care. Home health care, so that if a person, a mom or a dad, a son or a daughter, has a person who is ill, a person with disabilities in their family, or a child, that they know that there will be home health care for that person. So this just goes on and on. It is liberating. It is transformative. And along with the child tax credit is a recognition of how we value children, how we support families, and how we must honor President Biden's vision of something bigger than just building roads and bridges, as important as that is. As important as that is, but how we must do more. So I appreciate that. I'll tell the president you said that. In any event, that is the plan. We expect to have this done in a matter of weeks. But in the meantime, in another week, the third check will go out for the child tax credit. That was part of the rescue package. The goal of the rescue package was to put vaccine in people's arms, money in people's pockets, prepare to put children safely in school and people safely back at work. And that is what it is in the process of doing. But some of it it was COVID oriented. We want to make it permanent. Again, we could have no more persuasive argument than the one that Carmen gave us. Now, Carmen has 9 grandchildren, and so do I. And we all know, as Carmen said, we owe these children, all of the children in our country, the opportunity to reach their fulfillment and make their mark. So thank you for sharing your story, Carmen. I have 5 children of my own. That's why I got the 9 grandchildren. And when people ask me, why did you ever go into politics? What motivated you? I tell them my why. My why is that 1 in 5 children in America lives in poverty, goes to sleep hungry at night. That's intolerable in our country. That's intolerable in our country. And that's what took me out of the kitchen to the Congress, from housewife to House Speaker, for the children. So this vision of Joe Biden is just so aspirational and so in keeping with addressing the needs of our children. I just want to acknowledge Secretary of State Denise Miller. Well, I just want to acknowledge that she was there, because this is so important to make sure that we respect those who are respecting the votes of the people as we go forward. So thank you to the Secretary of State. But anyway, thank all of you, and thank you to the people of Connecticut for sending such a distinguished delegation to the House and to the Senate, Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, and again electing such wonderful leaders in your state, in the city, the mayor, and in the state, Mayor Lamont. Thank you all very much for being with us today. For the children. Thank you so much. And thank you, John Larson. I yield back to the distinguished chairman of the Social Security Subcommittee in the Congress.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you again for being here in East Hartford at Goodwin University. I want to thank all of our participants, the governor, the mayor, President Sheinberg, and of course, as the speaker said, Carmen Rodriguez, who I think exemplifies what the child tax credit was all about. A special shout out to Rosa DeLauro. 18 years to work on a piece of legislation. But finally, when we had a Democratic president, a Democratic Senate, and Speaker Pelosi, the bill became law. Congratulations, Rosa. More importantly, congratulations to working men and women all across this country. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Might the speaker entertain a question or two? Ma'am?
Can you let us know how you feel about infrastructure and if there's going to be something soon? Please?
Whatever the speaker wants.
Can you talk about infrastructure?
The midterm elections are, the history of midterm elections are not on your side. Do you feel a special pressure and urgency regarding the reconciliation bill as far as whether or not this may be sort of the last gasp for truly large things?
Well, I don't worry about the reconciliation bill in regard to the elections. The reconciliation bill is about a vision for our country that is transformative, that frees people to reach their aspirations without concern that their children or their ill parent or their disabled relative are not cared for, and to do so in a way that gives children all the opportunity to go forward. It puts food on the table. I mean, you understand there is so much disparity in our country. This bill is long overdue. Many of the things in the legislation exist in most developed countries in the world, but not in our country. So separating it from that. In terms of the elections, I have no I know we will win the Congress. There are people who say, well, in the off year, it's not the good year. But I think any assumptions about politics are obsolete. We live in a whole new world of communication and the rest. And I think that all of our members who survived Trump being on the ballot with them will survive next year.
Are you,
With Trump not on the ballot.
are you worried that the infrastructure bill will get caught up in Washington as states, as you know, are looking for help and relief? Where do we stand now, and how hopeful are you that something will come out and it will be something that you will support?
Well, we all support the bill that came out of the Senate. It's a fine piece of bipartisanship, but it doesn't have everything, and it has practically nothing in terms of climate. And so we will address that in our bill. As I said, the president said, I'll do all we can in a bipartisan way, but I will not confine my vision to what we can do in a bipartisan way if we're not going to address the climate issues and meeting the needs of our families for the children. So we'll be fine. We're on our path. I was in the meetings until I got on the plane to come here. I'll be back on the phone as soon as I leave here. And we're on our path. I feel pretty confident about it.
So not to belittle a $3,000 tax credit, the cost of childcare in the state of Connecticut for 1 year for one child is $20,000 a year. How are you going to get some of this other stuff passed, through the Senate? The Senate seems to be a roadblock to some of these further.
There are two different things we're talking about. The child tax credit is money in the pockets for families to meet their needs, whatever they are, for their children. In the bill, we have hundreds of billions of dollars for child care tax credits, and it goes up pretty high in terms of the families that it will be a middle income as well as an aspiring to middle class credit as well.
Will it be
That's
similar
why
to
it'll
that?
be
Will the income levels be similar to what the child tax credit was for the child care tax credit?
Well, we'll see. We're negotiating, but it'll be families. As I said, I don't want it to just be viewed as something for those who aspire to the middle class, because that would be reason enough to do it, but because we have middle class families who cannot afford child care. It's ridiculous that we don't have something so far. Since you asked about that, let me just tell you this. 50 years ago, you're getting too hot to hear this story? 50 years ago, in 1971, the Congress of the United States sent a bipartisan bill to the president's desk. Many people thought that President Nixon would sign the bill. Child care. It was about child care. And so because it was bipartisan in the House and in the Senate, people thought that he would sign the bill. That was the expectation. Somebody, this is before most of you were born, but somebody named Pat Buchanan intervened and made a cultural argument against it, that to have child care for our children was like being in the Soviet Union, that other people would be taking care of people's children. It was cultural war on families. Cultural war on families. And I go further into that, but I won't. And so the president vetoed the bill. 50 years later, we have a very generous child, couple $100 billion child, might be more, we'll see how it works out, but at least that, a child tax credit, and it will go to many families, most families in our country, not the very, very wealthy, but to most families in our country. And it's something to be very proud of. And it's transformational and will make the difference in people's lives. The women of America took the biggest bite of the wormy apple called COVID in terms of losing their jobs. Over 4 million women lost their jobs. The children weren't in school. They couldn't afford child care. They just had to stay home. 2 million of them are still not able to go to work now that school has begun. Still 2 million. So that can't be. We have to have a system and a society that values our children, respects our child care workers, as well as our home and health care workers. For some children might be older but in need, and even seniors. So this is a remarkable. If you're a family member, if you're a dad or a mom who needs help with child care or help with child's expenses, or more opportunity for your children in school, or needs family and medical leave if someone gets sick, this bill's for you. This bill is for you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Joe
everybody.
Biden.
Thank you.